Imagine having the power to help heal the environment, improve your health, and feeling the freedom of opting out of a chemical-laced industrial food system. Nestled in the Laurel Mountains of Latrobe, Pennsylvania, is a farm who breaks free from industrial farming and instead looks to nature and taps into that magic and abundance. This is Nature's Grow Farm, and this is their story.
Hey, I'm Andy from Nature's Grow Farm.
And I'm Nancy from Nature's Grow Farm. I'm Andy's mom.
And I'm Lighty. I am Nancy's sister and Andy's aunt. Is that right?
Alright, so Nature's Grow Farm is a regenerative farm. We're mostly known for our meat chickens, where we farm in alignment with nature's brilliance. And our meat chickens behind us, we mimic nature, where in nature you always see animals move. So we do the same thing here with these chickens. These chickens are in a portable system, so this fencing and their structure gets moved every so often. As soon as our grass gets eaten down, they get moved. And you'll see that a lot of the grass behind them, it's left bare, but within a few weeks, it bounces right back. So this is a whole regenerative practice where the chickens are feeding the land feeds the chickens back, and we get a lot of nutrients out of this whole system. We extend this idea of farming in alignment with nature to our lambs and also to our layer chickens as well.
My husband, Andy's dad, and I bought this farm 33 years ago. Original acreage was only 5.5 acres. We then purchased another 10 acres in the upper field. After purchasing it, my husband and I wanted to make it a farm with animals. Andy and my older son kind of moved on, and Andy was gone about 8 years, I guess, and then came back after his dad died. And sitting in our living room, he's looking out, and he said, "Mom, why don't we do something with this land?" And I said, "I'm all for it." And then I had said to him, "It's really hard to find organic chickens anymore. I can't find good organic meat, and people aren't aware of what food is actually nutritious and what's good for us." And then that's where it started.
And 6 years ago, I came back up from Kentucky. I had about 3.5 acres down there, and a friend of mine, we raised meat chickens like this, and he helped me to, he taught me actually how to prepare the chickens, because he told me one day you're going to have to do this, and I'm not going to be here forever, and you have to learn how to do it. And I also raised goats. I milked goats. We also had cattle, pigs. We had 3 pigs. So it was only on 3.5 acres. So I had some experience that I brought back. Oh, and then my friend had a big garden on my property. It was huge. So he taught me how to plant the garden and how to weed it, what to do with the garden.
So being that we do farm in alignment with nature, nature is a diverse system. There's not just a single species, it's a complex system of inner workings between all kinds of forms of life. So here on the farm we do that as well. We aren't just meat chickens, although that is our main enterprise, and that's what we're mostly known for. But these meat chickens are just a part of the system. And we can actually go through the farm and we'll show you different aspects of it and how it relates and how it all ties together.
At Nature's Grow Farm, we know the secret of nutrient-dense food is unlocked within the synergies of the natural world. If we avoid use of harsh chemicals and become a partner with nature, we begin to awaken a process billions of years old.
Alright, so one of the things we want to do here is build soil, and this is where that all starts. So this is in our horse barn. We use the horse manure and hay. So throughout the winter we feed hay in here, and the horses will build up manure on top of that. So you're actually mixing carbon and nitrogen together, which is the start of building soil. Twice a year we'll actually clean all of this out and create a big pile, and that's going to become fresh new compost that we use in the gardens. And you can also spread it over the pastures too to help regenerate the land.
This is my favorite part of the day, is spending time up here in the morning and at night feeding. This is my old girl Belle. She's probably 32, 33 years old right now. She is the head of this herd. I have 3 mares, a mini donkey, and a mini horse, and they are my life. These are my psychiatrists. This is my therapy, daily therapy. So it's a lot cheaper than medicine.
All right, so coming from the barn, we started with the horse manure and the hay. That creates the base for what we see here, along with the bedding from the brooders from the chickens. Those together, what we do is we start them out at a base, and on top of that, we'll actually use the entrails from when we process chickens and mix that with the manure and carbon material, as well as food scraps. All that together will actually start to compost down, and this material here actually creates all the protein needed for our layer chickens. So what we're experimenting with right now is to try to eliminate our layer feed completely and have this be their entire food source. It's going to give them all the protein they need with all the microscopic bugs. It also, with the food scraps, will give them their carbs, and we can feed them calcium through their eggshells and limestone as well. Also, once this is done, this is creating fresh compost, which can then be used in our greenhouse and be used for our vegetables, basically. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking all the waste from from our chickens and our horses. We're taking all the waste material and we're converting it into vegetables and eggs. And likewise, those chickens are then going to give us that manure back to start this process all over again. And it's just going to be one big cycle where we build soil as we're getting nutrients and eggs, meat, and produce all from the system.
And these are the laying hens that we have. They're the youngest group that we have, and we started them off in the greenhouse in the wintertime. And then now we've opened it up, and we're getting the greenhouse ready for the garden. And we do have, in this group, we have a meat chicken from last year. That big white one is not so little anymore. And it was injured, and instead of processing it last year, we brought it up here to get healed, and he's doing well. And the meat chickens, like the Cornish cross, they're not meant to live more than 6 months, and I think that's even long because they get so big and they get crippled. Well, you can see this one is still living and having a nice life. So when you raise chickens more naturally in the environment, in the natural environment, this is basically what you get, a life that lives longer.
Alright, so inside our greenhouse we also house our chickens in here in the wintertime. This is for our layer chickens. And what that does is during the summer we have tomatoes in here. And during the winter when we move the layer hens in, that breaks pathogen cycles. Since we have multiple species, a pathogen that loves tomatoes now has to deal with the chickens and they don't have a host. So if we take their host out, we break that pathogen cycle. So during the winter time, we'll have our layers in here. They're dropping their manure down and help scratching that into the surface, also creating like a rich, fertile, and diverse life in the soil here that will later help our tomatoes and anything else we plant in here. Likewise, during the summer, those vegetables will extract all those nutrients from the soil and will end up in all of our produce. Since that extracts everything out, we then bring the chickens back in during the next winter and replenish that soil again. And it's just an ever-evolving cycle.
So behind me is our beehive. We actually started 5 years ago with a farm, as a farm. And we started with beehive. And so we had the honey, and we had we made lip balm, we made trauma salves, and we had the honey, obviously. This hive came in last year as a swarm, and it was a huge swarm up here by these trees, and it came in and took over this hive. So we were thrilled, because obviously in this environment you want bees, because they will pollinate everything around for us. So, and it helps with the chickens, it helps with the horses and what they eat, and the clover, it helps everything. So really you don't want to destroy bees. So if you ever find a beehive that swarms, please don't get rid of it. They're really important to your environment.
These are our baby broilers, and we keep them in the brooder for 4 weeks before we move them out to pasture. And I'm responsible for feeding them every morning and every night, feeding and watering them. And the farmers really care about their animals and the way they treat them. They're handled with love.
I work in retail also, so people have often said to me, I can't find meat, especially during COVID. I can't find meat, things aren't available, why don't you have things in a grocery store anymore, and things like that. And I said, well, search out for your local farmers, because they're the ones that are feeding us. And we have, and then I would tell them we have meat chickens, other people have beef, and there's a lot of places to go. And you'd be surprised at how many people have never heard of a farmer's market. If you don't know where to go, just go to a local, look on the online, or ask a friend and find a local farmer to go to, or a farmer's market to go to, and walk around, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask if they spray their fields, ask what they feed their animals, ask if it's commercially bought food. Our food actually comes from an Amish family in Berlin, and they raise all their own grain, and it's all organic, and we go up twice a week, and they actually will grind it fresh for us. If you don't know where to go, don't hesitate to ask questions.
At Nature's Grow Farm, we farm with methods that are different from most, employing the magic and brilliance in nature to bring ultra high quality food to your dinner table for you and your family. We don't just look to grow things bigger, fatter, faster, and cheaper. We follow patterns we see in nature, and we allow that to be our guide to creating an ecosystem on our farm that regenerates itself, builds soil, captures carbon, and so much more. Not to mention, of course, increasing nutrient density to nourish our bodies in ways factory foods can only dream of.